All right, you got it?
I got it. Hello, everyone. It is
Hey, good
Tuesday
evening.
night.
Tuesday night, and it's time for
The Chuck and Pat Show.
That's
We don't
right.
have another name for it, so it's going to be this.
Still
for
don't
now.
have a name,
That's
so
right.
if anybody has any good ideas for a name, that would be really great.
Hey, Brittany, nice to see you. And Dan
All
DeForest
right.
and Rick Odato. Kyle is on.
Oh man, we're getting all kinds of people coming on. Hey, we're getting famous.
D Young joined us. That's awesome.
All right, well, heading off the news today in the Tampa Bay Times this weekend, foreign buyers love Tampa Bay, and that is absolutely true.
Yep.
Foreign buyers actually represent about 20% of the sales here in the Tampa Bay area. And that's one of the reasons why Pat and I put such an emphasis on becoming international certified property specialists. And that was about 2 years.
It took 2 years to get
that
our
certification.
It's called CIPS.
And it was great.
It was. We learned a lot.
Yeah, we learned a lot. It was one of those courses where we walked out a better realtor every time from class.
That's true.
So anyway, in this article, they're talking about foreign buyers are actually down a little bit in the state of Florida, but they're actually up here in the Tampa Bay area. And there's a lot of speculation as to why that is. And one of the reasons, and I think the primary reason, is that we've got such a great airport right here in Tampa International Airport.
It's called International Airport. That's right.
There are direct flights to almost everywhere from Tampa. And I believe that's one of the reasons why the Tampa Bay area has been growing so much with foreign investors and buyers. Of course, the majority of them are Canadian, and that's traditionally been so, although that's a little bit down, Pat.
Yeah, it changed because of the Canadian dollar.
Right. The exchange rate is a little bit less favorable right now for Canadians. So they've been down a little bit. Chinese buyers are down a little bit because their government has made it a little bit tougher for them to get money out of the country. So those have declined a little bit. So it's always kind of changing and up and down. Pat and I look at the exchange rates regularly so that we can kind of focus our marketing in the right places too for our sellers.
Oh, Kyla's saying sound. Uh-oh.
What?
You can't hear us,
sound.
guys? Hey, if you guys can hear us, let me know.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, if anybody on here is having trouble hearing us, please type it in the comments right now. Because
well, you might have to type that if they can't hear us.
Okay. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
I think they can hear us.
Okay. I hope so.
Yeah, so Kyle, I'm going to just blame it on you.
Sound is good here. Okay. All right.
Okay,
Thank you, guys. All right.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks.
So,
Kyle, turn yours up.
Rick made a good comment, though, about the red tide.
Yeah, Rick Odato. We
had red tide here. And for those of you who are outside of our area, red tide is something that happens from time to time. It's an algae bloom that happens in salt water. And what happens, all this algae grows in the water and it sucks the oxygen out of the water and the fish die. So what happens to the fish when they die? They all wash up on shore.
It's gross.
By the thousands.
And the smell is terrible.
And it's disgusting.
Yeah.
So we had a little spell of that this summer, and it made national news. It did hurt our tourist season a little bit, but it did not hurt our real estate market, believe it or not, because most people realize that red tide is just a temporary thing. It happens every now and then. It's not regular that it happens, but it does happen from time to time, and it's not confined to the Tampa Bay area either. It's all over the Southeast. And,
it is.
Particularly up around the Panhandle, Alabama, Louisiana. They get it up there just about as often as we do.
It's gross.
But it comes.
Sylvia said it's very gross.
Anybody who's been here, they know that it is.
The smell is bad.
The smell's horrible.
It's horrible.
All those dead
fish. It's gross.
But I have to say that our local governments are really good about getting those dead fish off the beaches fast and disposing of them properly, because they can be a health hazard.
That's true.
Particularly with people who have breathing problems.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
So these foreign buyers, of course, there's some things that are unique to foreign buyers as far as like exchange rates and how the transaction takes place.
But also traditions.
Yeah, that's one thing that's nice about there being two of us, because Some cultures are different. Some cultures will only do business with a man because just because they feel more comfortable that way. And of course, do you have a problem with that, Pat?
Hey, we share our bank account. No.
So, it doesn't matter. No. All the money goes in the same place.
All the money goes in the same pot, so it doesn't matter. And the same thing, like, in some cultures, women will have to just interact with women, believe it or not. So there's two of us, and it works out great.
Yeah, so if we have a female buyer in certain cultures, they're going to much prefer to work with Pat rather than me.
Right.
And that way, there's two of us.
That's right. Once again, having two is much better than one.
Boy, having two of us really paid off this last week, didn't it, Pat?
Yes.
Yeah, why don't you tell everybody about that and update them about your health, too.
So I'm going to show you something here.
This is awesome.
So, all right, you just had to look at that already. So this is a heart monitor. And it just has, these little leads. That's it. That's like it. I also have, in my back pocket, this. It's from a company called BioTel Heart. It's actually a Samsung phone, and it's got my name on it. But it's a Samsung heart monitor, specifically for me. It's got my name on it, if you can see.
That looks suspiciously like my phone.
I know. It's not, though. It came in the box.
But it's a heart monitor.
It's a heart monitor. And it's going to be on me for a week because, I've been having some issues with my heart. And it just is really cool.
Nothing serious.
Nothing serious.
Hasten to say that.
Yeah. And so I just touch it to record any symptoms I had or have. So it's very interesting. They could update me on messages. There's help on here. It's just really cool. And it's just amazing to me, the technology. I did a little video on earlier this morning before my appointment at 10. And I just was amazed at this. This was absolutely cool. And it just tells me that it's always monitoring. Now, I can't see the electrocardiogram going on.
I wish you could.
I know, maybe there's a way. So that'd be cool to see that all the time. But
give me that. I'm going to start pressing buttons.
Don't start. Well, there's help videos. So, that.
Wait. Okay, we'll do this later.
Yeah, that might be something we need to look at is the videos and see if it says anything. So, we have a few people joining on, Mark and Craig and Sylvia and Lewis.
For all of our friends that aren't regularly on Facebook and keeping track of Pat's comings and goings, nothing serious or anything, a little bit of AFib. It's
but this
nothing,
is the heart monitor.
Nothing life-threatening or anything like that. And Pat's been working just like normal and everything's fine.
Everything's great.
But it's certainly nothing you want to ignore.
No, especially at my young, youthful age.
But
yes,
when this came up, you had to go in the hospital.
Yes, that's true.
Because we didn't want to take any chances. You were in the hospital for
3 days.
Yeah, 3 days.
Yeah,
total.
Right.
Because they wanted to find out what was what.
Right.
And boy, it was a good thing there were two of us then.
Yeah, we had a closing, and actually, I was discharged the same day as the closing, so we were able.
Yeah, you were able to go after all.
Yeah, we were able to go.
But going up to that, of course, there's a lot of paperwork and very important things that happen prior to a closing.
Yep.
And
you have to do the walkthrough, and I actually was there for the walkthrough.
Yeah, but if you were just a single realtor, that would have been a disaster.
You really have to have a plan, whether you're by yourself or with someone else, and you definitely have to have backup, no matter who you are. Either your brokers or a fellow colleague or somebody. Just keep that in mind if you are watching this and you're, kind of by yourself. You really need to have someone that you can trust to go in your place,
so
no matter what kind of work you do.
We have a lot of our realtor friends watching, and regardless of what business you're in, really.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
If you have some sudden illness or something that comes up, you really need to have a backup plan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fortunately for us, we're both in the same profession. We are our backup plan.
Yeah.
But even in addition to the two of us, we have other team members that know what's going on and could instantly step in and not have to get up to speed on what's going on.
And our brokers.
So with whatever business you're in, I'd recommend you give that some thought, because you never know what could happen. I mean, even if you just take ill at an inopportune moment, that could really save the day if you've got somebody that can kind of cover for you.
That's true. That's true. So this device is really cool. I don't even feel it. I don't know it's there. I can shower with it, do everything, but it's just very interesting to have it on.
Yeah.
I expected all these little wires all over the place, you know, and it wasn't. It's just this little lead and that's it.
I know. It's amazing.
And I charge it up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Boy, technology is just awesome.
Yeah. So Sylvia writes that she has backups and then they have 3 associate brokers in-house. So that's true. You know, we have like 6 people that we could really count on. A total of 6 right now.
Yeah, because we've got some team members plus our brokers. And with our brokers, we've just got an informal agreement where,
that's correct.
You know, if they need us to help them out, we help them out, or vice versa. Just whoever needs help, it gets taken care of by one of us.
That's true.
Works out nice.
Yeah. So you wanted to talk about if the property doesn't appraise.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we've got a deal cooking right now where the property may not appraise. And you may have heard that term. And what it means is that the lender, when they do the appraisal of the property, the appraiser doesn't think the property is worth as much as what the agreed price has been. And that presents a huge problem because the lender's not going to loan when they're overpaying for the property, because obviously that would be a bad risk for them. So the question is, what happens? So I'll kind of walk you through the process. So when a buyer is getting a loan on a property, the lender is going to do an appraisal of the property because they want to make sure that it's a good risk. Because just in the unlikely event that they have to take that property back, they need to make sure that they could recover their losses. So the appraiser will appraise the property, and usually it appraises just fine. But we've got one instance right now where the property is overpriced and
we don't have the listing. Oh, wait.
Well, I'm not going to say.
Okay.
I'm not going to say. I don't want
Gotcha. You don't want to jinx it.
Don't want to give away too much either.
That's true.
But what's going to happen is if the property appraisal comes in under what the agreed to price was, they're not going to get the loan. So one of two things has to happen. Either it's a dead deal at that point, because if there's no loan, there's no transaction, or the seller's going to have to reduce the price to whatever that appraisal amount is. And that is a bad situation for everybody involved, because the sellers are going to have to reduce the price or start all over again and try and find another buyer. Only this time they'll have to find a cash buyer that's not going to do an appraisal. And then for the buyer's side, well, now they've gotten all this way only to find out that the property's not worth as much as everybody thought. And they may have to start over again too. So nobody's happy.
Everybody. It is.
When a property doesn't appraise. And we know if it's going to appraise or not, because you know, Pat and I've got so much experience in determining the value of a property. Even though we're not appraisers, we know if it's going to appraise or not. And we try and, you know, kind of set people up for that eventuality in the odd case where it does. Now, when we're representing the sellers, we make sure we give them some good advice about that, because that could mean a deal falls apart, you know, 20, 30 days into the process, and then have to, after it's been off the market all that time, go back to square one and, you know, try and find another buyer. You'll
definitely have to reduce the price if it doesn't appraise.
Yeah.
There's probably no way around that.
You know, that brings up an interesting point though, Pat, because we don't set the price of the property.
That's true.
And the property owner doesn't set the value of the property either.
So I wonder who sets the price.
Well, who does?
Who does?
Why don't you tell us?
The market.
Right. It's worth exactly what the market says it's worth. And it goes up and down every day. And that's one reason why we stay on top of market conditions, is because the value of property fluctuates.
Sure does.
And one thing that it depends on a lot, and people often forget this, is that, you know, we look at the comps. Everybody's like, okay, what do the comps say? What do the comps say? You know, something over here sold for this and my house is worth this. Well, there's one other big factor that a lot of people ignore, and that's the competitive properties. So if you've got, let's say you've got a property on the market for $300,000, and so that buyer is like, okay, well, what could I get for $300,000 right now in this area? And if there's a better house that they could get for the same price as yours, well, you don't have to be a realtor to figure out which one they're going to pick.
Yep.
So the competition is, I mean, it's almost more important than the comps in a way.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's really going to determine which properties sell the quickest.
Yep.
And of course, there's new ones coming on the market on a daily basis. So it's important to stay on top of that.
It is important. And we do.
Yeah. I mean, we're experts at that.
Right.
And we've actually got certifications in that area.
We do. That's true.
That most realtors don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important.
I do too.
Because, I mean, what's more important than being able to accurately figure out what the value of a property is going to be?
That's right.
Yes, indeed. Now, you had some stuff you wanted to talk about today.
I do. So,
what do you have on your list?
My niece, Marie, has lived in Denver, I don't know, 25 years. I have no idea.
Forever.
Like forever. And I was really excited when she said she wanted to move to St. Pete. She just passed her nurse practitioner license. And so she's relocated here probably about 2 weeks ago or so. And so I brought up an article about 8 common moving mistakes and how to avoid them, because, you know, she rented a truck and, you know, she brought it here with her car, and she hired packers. And so I wasn't there for it, but I could just imagine like the mayhem that went on with all moving, even though, you know, it's one person, but one person with a lot of stuff. Everyone, you know, we all have too much stuff. So one of the things it said was that we underestimate. And what do we underestimate? We underestimate the time it's going to take to pack, how many boxes we need,
yeah, the
of
amount
stuff.
Yeah,
the amount of stuff. You know, and just what will you take with you? You know, and that kind of goes to the second thing that the article said was moving everything. So we have a 2,000 square foot house. It's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. If we moved, we might not, I can actually say we probably won't take all of this stuff with us, even if we move to a comparable 2,000 square foot house.
yeah. It might cost more to move it than the thing's
It
worth.
might cost more to move it. And so we don't, you know, you have to kind of think about, am I going to really move everything? Is it cost efficient for me to move, you know, that 10-year-old grill that I have?
Plus, some of our stuff's really heavy.
Yeah. Or would it be more just cost efficient for me to kind of just have yard sales, make as much money as I can at the yard sales, and then purchase kind of new stuff later? And I'm a firm believer of that. Just purchasing the newer stuff later. If you have something that's, especially something's old, just kind of getting rid of it. Hire a pro, you know, hire professionals. Don't hire, you know, Joe the handyman down the street who does
That's
moves.
always good advice.
Yeah, hire professionals. You know, you're hiring professional realtors to do everything. Hire professionals in no matter what it is. And so make sure that you kind of do that. Hire, you know, make sure it's a good company, get references, look at reviews, maybe even on Yelp or, you know, other places, and see if it's something that, you know, you need to maybe be mindful of as, you know, hiring movers. Have a survival day for yourself, and a survival bag, for yourself. And what that means is don't put everything in the moving van. You know, keep your jewelry. That was another thing too. Keep your valuables with you. So don't put your jewelry in there, your computers, you know, breakable kind of things that if they got lost, oh my God, it's my mother's, you know, tea set that I lost from the 1800s. No, you're probably not going to put that in there. You're going to keep it with you. So just be mindful of that when you're moving, and keep valuables and things like that. And also have that survival bag where, you know, medicines, things like that, you know, you could survive a night or two without everything that's in the moving van. Get pets ready. You know, do you have their shots ready? Do you have their records for wherever you're moving so you can establish with a new vet? You know, pets are going to be a little kind of leery about what's going on. Make sure that the crates work, you know, for them, whether a cat or a dog. Make sure that the crates are working properly and that they can't escape from the crate. That's another thing too.
Oh, that would be mayhem.
Back up your computers. So this one was really interesting because, you know, we use, what's it called?
Dropbox.
No, but besides that.
We've got
The thing that goes up.
We've got many.
We have many things, so I don't even know what it is. But carbonite, that's it. Our computers are constantly backing up. That's one of them. That's one of them. So yeah, back up your computers.
I am insane about backups.
Yeah, he's really good about backups because we've seen people who have not backed up. You know, let's say their photography. You know, we have a lot of photography friends, and they don't back up their photos that they've gone on this wonderful vacation for and spent tens of thousands of dollars for, and then it's not backed up and everything, you know, their computer crashed and everything's gone. You'll have the memories in your head, but what if you wanted to print some out, you know? So make sure that you do have your computer backed up. It's really important. If you don't know how to back up your computer, get with him and he'll tell you, you know, kind of what we use to back up. And I want to say hi to Lauren and Terry and Lisa Hatcher's
super talented Lisa Hatcher.
Yeah, she's a great photographer. So I'd be curious.
I'll bet she backs up her files.
I bet you she backs up her files. And Sylvia says that she loves carbonite. Yeah, so it's not that expensive, especially the one time.
Can I go on a tangent here?
Yeah.
All right. Listen to me, people. The one thing that people would run into a burning house to save is pictures, right?
Yeah.
They're priceless. They cannot be replaced. But yet, many of us that have them on the computer, they're not backed up. Why don't we treat them like the priceless valuables that they are and back them up? It's just shocking to me how many times I hear about people who have lost everything. They lost all their family photos because they weren't backed up, and that's just tragic when that happens.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
It is.
Yeah.
So Sylvia wrote that carbonite is $99 a year, but I think if you buy like 3 years, it's you know, even cheaper. You know, to get the 3 years worth, it's like, I don't know, $199 or whatever it is. But it's, if you look at carbonite, that's one of the good things. So speaking of running into burning houses, I know we all talked about in France. Notre Dame burning, and that was a tragedy. Tragic. But yesterday, which no one will ever know, is right around the corner from where we live. The whole street was closed off yesterday because a gentleman died in his house in a house fire. He was 72. I don't know the exact circumstances, but it's very, very sad. It's right near 49th Street and 5th Avenue where we live. And that was just really so sad that I did not know anybody died in the house, but they stayed there a really long time. So I printed out this thing about fire preparedness, and especially for like someone who's disabled. You know, what if you have sight, you know, you're low vision? You really should think about like family members or loved ones who may not come up with a plan of escape. What if they're in a wheelchair? You know, how would they get out? Because, you know, you have to be low in a fire. You have to crawl. So, you know, how would they get out? What if they have hearing difficulty? And
let's go back even before that, Pat.
Yeah.
Do you have fire extinguishers in your house?
Yeah, that's
every house should have fire extinguishers.
Especially in the kitchen.
Especially in the kitchen.
Because kitchen fires happen quite frequently.
Statistically, that's where most home fires start, is in the kitchen. And it's so vital to have fire extinguishers. Make sure that they're current. They've got the little gauge on them. Make sure it's pointing in the green, and make sure you know how to use it too. It's one of those little things. We have fire extinguishers
all over. Actually, you have one in your truck, and I have one in my car.
Yeah, because you never know when.
Because you never know.
You'll run across a situation where, you know, you might be able to come to somebody's aid. Or
so my next homie, Scott Harding up in Maine, thought it was strange when I was going around with him. And I had a fire extinguisher in the back of my car. He thought it was kind of funny. Well, but, you know, it's just... if
it gives you any trouble, you could squirt them with it.
That's true.
And also, we have a Volkswagen, too. So, you know, fire extinguishers are...
Yeah, a 1972 Volkswagen. It's not a newer one. So that's true. So, you know, just kind of be prepared.
But joking aside, you know, fire extinguisher is something every house should have. And if you don't have one, I beg of you, go buy one this evening.
Yeah, go get one.
It could save your life.
It really could save your life. Like I said, so this gentleman died in the fire, and I don't know how the fire started or anything, but, you know, there's 4 steps. So there's create an escape plan with at least 2 ways out of the room. So we have a 1st story home. There's no 2-story here. But if you have a 2-story house, they sell those little ladders that, you can then put on the outside of your house and climb down if you needed to, instead of having to jump down, of course. And you could take your pets with you down the stairs. I mean, in a situation like that, you would do what needs done. Your adrenaline would come up and you would do what needs done. Especially if you have children, make sure that you establish, or even adults, make sure that you establish a meeting place outside of the home. And the third thing is, that's when you call 911. Don't call 911 in the house, because you need to get out. Don't stay in the house if there's a fire. Now, we say we have a fire extinguisher in the house, but it's in the kitchen. But if there was a raging fire that...
We have more than one.
Well, I'm just saying there's one in the kitchen. But, if you need to get out, you're not going to have this little tiny fire extinguisher doing the job for you. You need the fire department to come. And step 4 is practice the plan. And that's probably really true. Just kind of even thinking about it in your head, where you would go if there's a fire, and, have your phone. Some people are keeping their phones outside of their bedrooms now because they don't want it to interrupt. But in a situation like this, maybe you want to think about having your phone closer to you so that you can grab it and go. So just think about, fire. The fire at Notre Dame is totally different than having a fire in your house. And, that's the second fire we've had in this neighborhood.
It's the second one in the last 2 weeks. We had another friend of ours had a house fire when she was not home.
That's right.
And
I forgot about that.
Fortunately, an alert neighbor was
got
able
her pets out
to
too.
Get over there and get her pets out.
Yeah, she had cats and dogs.
So make sure you know your neighbor.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's not that uncommon for people to not really know what's going on in their neighbor's house. Like, for example, whether or not they have any pets. Now, we know that our next door neighbor has 2 dogs.
Right there.
So if something were to happen over there, we know that we need to get 2 dogs out of the house.
Right.
So make sure your neighbors know that.
And the neighbor across the street has 2 dogs. We have 1 dog. So yeah, break in and take the dogs. Whatever you have to do.
Because an alert neighbor saved her pet's life.
Yes.
Now the house,
from the looks of the house, it
down.
Looks like it's totally
but you know
destroyed.
What? That house will be rebuilt.
It doesn't matter. I know
replaced.
She lost, maybe precious items in the house to her. It doesn't matter. Your life is so precious. So yeah, the fire, that happened over in France, but then the fire just around the corner from us today really kind of struck a nerve with me about having a plan. So if you all don't have a plan, just kind of think about it. And the one about calling 911 when you're out of the house, that was really surprising to me that, I might call 911 when I'm in the house. Not thinking, but they really say to make sure
top priorities, get yourself
out and establish the meeting place outside, especially if you have children. Make sure, and don't make it a scary event. Make it, I don't want to say a fun event, but just kind of be prepared about it.
Yeah.
So this was a really good article. They give a lot of links for people who are mobility impaired. So I can shoot those over to anybody if they want it, if they have someone who is hard of hearing or deaf, or if they have low vision. And where do you see those exit signs on the bottom? That was somewhere recently.
Oh yeah, in Las Vegas, I noticed something I haven't seen before. Because you know how they usually have the exit signs up high to kind of direct you to where the exits are.
Yes.
Well, they also had exit signs down at the floor level too.
So you could feel them.
And I thought that was genius because
I forgot about that.
If there's a lot of smoke, you're supposed to get down on the ground.
Right.
And so if you're down on the ground and kind of crawling along, you'll be able to see those exit signs on the floor.
Yeah.
I thought that was genius.
Yeah, so that was right outside our room. And I don't know if anybody in conference noticed those, but we did. And we were like, wow, look at those exit signs on the floor. Yeah. They were literally like on the floor. So if you have to get down on the floor and crawl your way to, a stairwell, one other thing with that is feel the door first. Did you know that?
Yeah, make sure it's not hot.
Make sure that door's not hot, because that means it's on that side. And then you'll go and you'll find another exit. But there's a lot of fire safety tips, and
we can go on.
We can go on, and we're not going to do that. So
Fire Marshal Pat.
Yeah, Fire Marshal. Yeah, that's me.
Can you believe it's 7:30 already?
I know, this was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this tonight. You saw my little thing, my little heart monitor. It's crazy that, you know, they have this along with the Samsung phone they sent me.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So it have got my name on it. It's pretty amazing. The technology is just wonderful, and we're very grateful to have it.
So I hope y'all have a great week.
Yeah.
And be safe. And we'll see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern right here on Pat's Facebook page.
Yes, on my Facebook page. So,
all right. Have a great night, everybody.
have a good night. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.